Hey everyone, and welcome to the Patreon live stream for September for the Ancient DOS game stuff and everything. I am your host, Chris, and this is Tyrian 2000, or Tyrian 2000. I wasn't actually sure completely how to pronounce this word. Turns out it really is pronounced Tyrian 2000. Well, so there's some interesting stuff. Yeah, I'm on 4 hours of sleep, so if I seem a little scatterbrained, that's why. But this game is actually loaded with so many things. I don't know if we're actually going to be able to go through the entire story mode, because the full game has 5 episodes. And okay, the last episode is kind of a throwaway and pointless, but the rest of it, there's a lot to this thing. Just on the title screen right here, if you take a look at the logo is actually designed in such a way that if you were to spin it 180 degrees around, it would still be the exact same logo. Just, well, the brightness would be in different places, but you know what I mean. Anyways, let's start a new game. We're going to be doing the 1-player full game, and we're going to be starting with episode 1. And even here with the difficulty selection, you've got options. Specifically, I could push Shift-G for impossible skill, and then I can push Shift, and what square bracket is it? Shift right square bracket for suicide. And then if I want to get really crazy, I can hold in the L, O, R, and D keys to get, hang on. Okay, that should be, oh, right. Where is it? Oh. Okay, there's supposed to be the ability to get Lord of the Game difficulty level if you hold L, O, R, and D at the same time. Something I found out a little while ago, though, is that I can't actually hold all 4 of those keys down at the same time on my keyboard. So, yeah. It is a gaming keyboard, so I can actually, program one of the gaming keys to do that, but, I don't feel like doing it, so... Besides, we're not going to be playing on that skill level anyways, because Lord of the Game skill level is just... why? So, we're going to be doing hard skill simply because that way I can choose different weapons and show you guys the different weapons in the game. Because if I choose anything beyond hard, I pretty much have to go with the best weapons in the game, or I will not survive. So... And we got more people showing up in the chat. Hooray! And don't worry if you can't watch forever, because I'll eventually have these live streams uploaded on places like YouTube and stuff, but those of you who've been on my YouTube channel lately may have noticed that there's an episode missing from the queue and that I haven't uploaded for a few weeks now. Has to do with the Star Wars episode got matched and blocked, and, well, not blocked, but muted. But it's past the whole content ID thing, and it's supposed to be unmuted by now, but isn't. So I'm looking into that. I'll do what I can. But anyways, so Tyrian 2000. Let's get into this because too much preamble. So in the full game, you can actually choose to upgrade your ship and everything. On the very first level, you don't have any new ships to choose from, but you got tons of weapons to choose from. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time selecting weapons. I'll take suggestions from the chat window for what weapons I should be using, but for the most part, I'm not going to go over weapons that I've already explained. So if you want to see a particular weapon, and hey there, my life hurts, I've seen you before. Anyways, if you want to see a particular weapon, just let me know in the chat window, and once it comes along, I'll go for it, but I'm not going to stick on because of the delay in the stream, I don't want to stick on these weapon screens for too long. But anyways, just a quick explanation of these 4 weapons. There's the front guns are always your main attack, and the pulse cannon just is a basic forward firing weapon. It's very powerful for the price. Multi-cannon, you get your spreading shots there. It's not very powerful though, so I don't like to go with it usually. Vulcan Cannon's pretty powerful and rapid, but you gotta paint your target with tons of shots, so it's a little tricky to use. Proton is a better choice to go with than the multi-cannon for sure, but it's a little less damage per individual shot, but then you're getting more shots, so I don't know. Let's just stick with the pulse cannon for now, because it's nice and cheap. Besides, there's actually a rear weapon power-up right at the start of the level, first level you can get. The rear weapons are basically your secondary weapons of sorts. The multi-cannon just shoots sideways, and it has an alternate mode that sort of shoots the shots that way instead. It's meh. Sonic Wave is better because its alternate mode actually turns it into a forward-firing weapon. So Sonic Wave, I find, is one of the better ones. And then you also got the heavy guided bombs. These things are actually kind of weak. In fact, they're so weak that if you try using them in the higher difficulty settings, you're basically saying, please kill me. So, if I don't get any other suggestions before I'm done here, I'm going to go with the Sonic Wave. And I'm going to power it out a bit because later on, because I'm going to get a rear weapon power-up right at the start of the first level, and those power-ups are essentially worth as much as the next level is worth, because you can sell these upgrades later on for the same amount you buy them for, so it's lots of money that way. Shield, we'll just stick with the regular shield there. Now we can upgrade the generator to give us more energy. And the whole energy system, it's kind of weird. It's not present in the arcade mode in here, just the full game, but let's stick with the normal one there. And maybe give ourselves a little satellite Marlowe to go with us. It just travels around and shoots shots. It's a pretty basic thing. And yeah, the sidekicks are hard to describe just because of the fact that they don't usually show up properly on the side window, so. Do I have a net energy loss? Ugh. This is going to be interesting. Okay. So first major tip. Do not kill this enemy until he's right coming up from the bottom of the screen. And that's how you get your rear weapon power-up. Though, I'm actually going to restart the level here, because I didn't mean to kill any of the other enemies. And there's a particular reason why, and I'll get into that later in the level. But for the moment, I'm actually letting all these enemies survive. Ooh, more people showing up in the chat. Hooray! Okay, now I can start shooting things. I'd say killing things, but these things look like just random enemy ships. Like, who knows if there's any pilots in them or anything. Now, I don't actually... One thing I've never understood is why they decided to put their sort of like lighting effect in the very first level of this game, when it's probably the most annoying thing the game does. It's even the shareware version. It's like, why would you... I don't know. Actually, the planet Tyrian in this game is like this pretty much the whole time. If you're on planet Tyrian, you're getting this lighting effect. So, I don't know. There's actually some levels which enable and disable the lighting effect as it goes along. There's actually a secret level in there, but I'm not going to shoot it open because I have other plans. You'll see. And yeah, my generator power is super low. I should probably stop firing. So I'm seeing about 4 names in the chat now. So lots of people watching now, which is awesome. You guys are awesome. Just throwing that out there, because it's true. Now, one thing I'm actually doing is I'm controlling the game with the mouse, because this game has really good mouse control. You can move, like, really easily with the mouse in this game, but it unfortunately makes it hard to do the twiddles. The twiddles kind of being like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat kind of special moves you can do that are different for each of the different ships you can fly. It's weird. I mean, if you're a master with keyboard controls or joystick controls and doing the twiddles, you can actually cause some serious damage to everything around you, but Me personally, I just settle on mouse controls, just shoot everything. Like, I think that's more interesting than just trying to keep doing the, I don't know if Open Tyrian is open source or not. I would imagine such because it's called Open Tyrian. I keep saying it's actually Tyrian. I did look it up. It's actually Tyrian, but so I got to stop saying Tyrian. But Open Tyrian, I'm pretty sure it's open source just because of the whole name having the word open in it. But that's not the version I'm playing. I'm actually playing this in DOSBox right now. So those who don't know, Tyrian was originally programmed in Pascal of all languages, which is why later versions of Tyrian 2000 had this sort of bug where if you tried to start it up on a faster system, it would just give you a runtime error. And here's the reason why I didn't destroy those enemies at the start of the level. It's because it's the only way to access the particular secret level. Now, it's actually a specific enemy that it's linked to. I don't know which one exactly, so I just leave them all alive, save for that very first one, so that I can get my rear weapon power up. And there goes the boss. Yeah, that is a good point. Tyrian 2000 is indeed freeware now. In fact, it's one of the very first games that was made freeware that was originally shareware. In fact, I think it was sometime around the year 2000 that happened. But anyways, part of the reason why I came to this specific secret level, because there's 3 secret levels you can go to from the very first level, but the reason I went for this one isn't because of the ship. Isn't because of the fact that I now have access to the heavy missile launcher if I want it. Isn't because of the rear megapulse weapon. But because of that shield right there. Let me sell off my rear weapon for a second here. Yeah. That is a seriously powerful shield to have early in the game. So, hell yeah, we're going with it. And let's get ourselves a good reactor. And what am I going to do for the rear weapon? Because, yeah, I had to sell a whole bunch of stuff to get that to work. Actually, here's a good idea. Let's put some mini missiles on. Mini missiles are ammo limited, but are really good in a pinch for destroying things in your way. So, and that'll be good for this secret level because it's loaded with walls. Ow. Here I am trying to drink something while playing at the same time. Ow. Okay. Yeah, the only catch to coming to this secret level is that it may look simple because all you're basically facing is turrets. There's nothing that moves and shoots, but there's some of the more powerful weapon types in the game, so you gotta be really careful flying through this thing. Which is exactly why I was taking a drink of water while trying to fly a spaceship. Don't drink and drive, it's bad for your health. Or in this case, it's bad for your live stream.
Data acquired.
Breakfast of champions at McDonald's. You guys are funny. Sorry I'm being quiet. I'm trying to pay attention to things I'm missing in the chat window and things that I'm doing on screen, but this is a really tricky level, so... But hey, I wanted the shield system because getting that shield early on really helps out, so... Actually, here's a fun fact for you guys. Did any of you know that there was a Game Boy Color version of Tyrian in development at one point? In fact, did any of you know there was even a Game Boy Advance version in development? I'm curious to see what the response is before I say anything more to that. Because I have actually played both versions through emulation. And yeah, the ammo does recharge on the sub-weapons. The only trick is that the more ammo the sub-weapon has, the faster it recharges. So any sub-weapon that has like 100 shots, like the mini-missiles, it'll recharge pretty quickly, but that's because each individual shot doesn't do a lot of damage. Whereas something like mega missiles, you only get 5 shots, it actually takes a bit to recharge just one shot. Okay, new weapon for this level is Missile Launcher. The Missile Launcher is atrocious. Whoever programmed the Missile Launcher should be, well, I was about to say should be shot, but then the person who programmed the Missile Launcher programmed the entire game, so... I'm gonna blame the QA staff, whoever they were. Anyways, let's switch it up to a different weapon. Let's go Proton. Actually, the rear proton is very weird, because it has that normal side-to-side firing, but the alternate firing method spins proton shots around your ship. You may think that it'd be kind of useful, but it really isn't, so we're just going to stick with the Sonic Wave, unless someone wants to see me try to use the proton. Okay, shield system we are not changing for obvious reasons. Options. Companionship Warfly is not bad. The post-it mines are weird. A lot of people try to use the post-it mines and kind of run into trouble, and so they never touch them again, and they can't figure out why they're so expensive. If you launch a post-it mine into something like a building, it does incredible amounts of damage, because the way it works is that once it hits something, it shoots backwards and does damage for every frame that it's in contact for. So for something like a building that you can fly into, you post the mine into the building, it flies backwards slowly and just does immense amounts of damage to the building, which is why when you use it against an alien ship, it hits it, and then bounces backwards and does, like, virtually no damage. So, yeah. We're just going to stick with the Companionship Warfly. And can we do any more upgrades? No. Actually, or no, I'm going to be getting both front and rear weapon power-ups, so, yeah, I should leave it like that. Now, you actually get some level choices here. Asteroid 1 is mostly just flying through asteroids and enemy ships. Asteroid 2 has some turrets and stuff, and I actually know the secrets better on Asteroid 2, so I'm going to go this way. Very first secret, do not destroy this guy. No, really, don't shoot him. Don't shoot him. You can destroy this thing, though. But no, don't shoot him. Now shoot him. And you get a front weapon power-up. This game is loaded with stuff like that, so... And the funny thing is, a lot of it is actually given as information to the player in-game. Basically, whenever you win one of the episodes, you're given a hint. And a lot of the hints actually tell you this stuff, like what enemies to shoot and everything. So that's kind of cool that the game itself actually teaches you how to find its secrets. And there's actually another one with these two guys. If you let them both go to the top, One of them will give you a gem, and the other gives you the rear weapon power-up.
Data acquired.
And you can actually fire the sub-weapons by themselves, but... Did I just... I think I accidentally activated one of the twiddles without meaning to, because I just saw my shields jump down. Ooh. Okay, so allow me to explain about the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance versions of Tyrian. Basically, the programmer of the game, Jason Emery, was working on basically making Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance versions. Now, I don't know if he had official development kits for Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance stuff. I'm going to guess no, because Nintendo is usually pretty stingy about who they give their dev kits to. But the Game Boy Color version is actually nearly a complete game. It just has some minor issues, whereas the Game Boy Advance version definitely wasn't completed. And the Game Boy Color version is actually a completely different game. It uses none of the graphics from this game right here, simply because the Game Boy Color doesn't have nearly as rich a color palette to choose from. Not to mention, each individual sprite can't have that many colors to begin with. The Game Boy Advance version, on the other hand, is using sprites directly from the game, which causes an interesting issue considering that this game runs at 320 by 200 resolution, whereas the Game Boy Advance only has a Y resolution of 160. So a lot of things feel a lot more cramped as a result of that, given that they haven't changed the sizes of anything. But yeah, you can actually get both the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance versions from Jason Emery's website, at least the last time I was there. Might not be there anymore, I don't know. I haven't been to his website in a while now. The secret level that I just got, you saw how there was 4 orbs when I destroyed the face there? Earlier versions of Tyrian, before this became Tyrian 2000, had the orb right inside the statue, but because of the way the game was designed, it wasn't able to make it so that the orb could just suddenly appear once the statue was destroyed. So our orb was simply hidden under the statue. So you didn't have to destroy the statue, you could just fly over it and it would collect it. Yeah, I know lots of crazy trivia about this thing, because I played the heck out of it when I was a kid. Ooh, the Mega Cannon's available. The Mega Cannon's not actually that powerful, but it does constant damage and goes straight through any enemies that it hits. So, it has its uses for sure. I think we can go with it. The original Game Boy was only 144 pixels high. So... oh, the rear Vulcan cannon. Rear Vulcan's not bad, but it only shoots at angles. It doesn't have a secondary firing mode, so... it depends on what your front weapon is, really. I think we'll stick with the Sonic Wave for now. Shield, not changing that. Generator, not changing that. The charge cannon at the top is okay, but I don't like using it because you have to hold the button down. Because if you don't hold the button down, it charges it up for a charged burst, but it doesn't really do that much extra damage that way, so, yeah. Oops, that was... yeah. What am I clicking on? Okay. I shouldn't say clicking, I'm using the keyboard right now. So... I can't upgrade that any further. Okay. This time, I'm taking the water swig before I start. Okay, let's do it. Actually, one easy way to tell just how low the resolution is on a Game Boy screen is consider like an RPG. You ever play an old RPG on the NES? You'll note that there's a lot of text that you can fit. You can like fit whole paragraphs into a single text box that only takes up like a third of the screen. But then you go to the Game Boy, and you pretty much had text boxes that only had like 2 lines in them. And they still took up a quarter of the screen. Yeah, an NES port of Tyrian would have been interesting, but... Remember, Tyrian originally came out in like 95, so the NES was way past its lifespan by then. The Game Boy Color was the hot new thing at the time, so that's why... I think that's why a Game Boy Color version was... I shouldn't say well, yeah, it was technically developed, because it's virtually a completed game. Just with minor issues. So let's go to another secret level from within this secret level. And all we have to do is destroy that guy right there and hope that that doesn't happen. Ah, darn it. Yeah, there's some minor issues with the hit detection in this game, specifically in that stuff will sometimes be made impossible to get. Oh well.
Level completed.
Okay. Go one more level there. Heavy guided bombs are back. I'm wondering if I should use them just to show you guys how dumb they are. Yeah, why not? What have I got to lose except for my dignity and probably my spaceship? Yeah. Oh, we got the mega missiles here. It's probably a good thing because we're going into an interesting level. I think Savara or something like that. Let's take Savara, right. Now the Savara level has these ginormous blimps that take huge amounts of damage. And this early in the game, you pretty much don't have the firepower necessary on higher skill levels. But these mega missiles do incredible amounts of damage. So the trick is to just load in with mega missiles when the blimps show up and get a lot of points that way. Because points is money in this full game mode. One more upgrade on them. There. Okay, we're ready. But yeah, if you can't tell, those heavy bombs are doing virtually nothing. Yeah. I'm switching to a different rear weapon. Okay. This is actually a pretty tricky... Oh. There was a front weapon power up there? Huh. Distracted by front weapon power-ups that I wasn't sure were there. Yeah, I do know a lot about this game, but I don't know everything. Because let's face it, the game's so full of stuff. It's just, you'd have to have like a cheat sheet in front of you. Ow. See what I mean by... Yeah. Urgh. Okay. I always hate when I come up to this level because it always feels like you're so completely unprepared for that sequence. And that is something else I should mention, is that the difficulty curve in this game is extraordinarily unbalanced. Savara is definitely the hardest level in the first episode. And it's in the middle of the first episode. See what I mean? And I'm only on the hard skill. Can you imagine this level on, like, suicide skill with the bullets flying 4 times faster? And everything being even more impossible to destroy? Okay, screw it. I'm using the mega missiles. Wow. I usually do not have this much trouble here. And it's crazy because once I get past this level, you're going to see that it's actually just that first part with the turrets. Once you're past the turrets, the rest of this level is a cakewalk. Then again, that was somewhat lucky. Okay, I'm just trying to get my bearings here. What ended up happening is instead of a front weapon power-up, I ended up getting the repulsor special weapon. So by rapidly pressing the fire button now, I can actually repulse shots away from me. That was unintentionally lucky by a huge amount, because it makes this level a lot better, or a lot easier, I should say. By the way, there's those blimps I was talking about. There will be more of them. Don't worry. Almost did enough damage. The only thing you have to be careful of in this level once you're past the turrets are the enemies that have the rapid fire shots, because they can do extreme amounts of damage with their attacks. Also, earlier someone asked if I liked Ikaruga or not. Ikaruga, I do have it on Steam, and I have played it a bit. I like the premise and the concept, but I feel the game gets way too hard, way too fast. Even on the lower skill settings. Also, the music in Ikaruga isn't actually all that great. I mean, music is kind of one of the most... I'm getting power-ups I didn't even know existed. Like, first the front weapon / repulsor, and now a rear weapon power-up just right from an enemy I wasn't even paying attention to. Huh. But yeah, Ikaruga, I find the music in it is not actually all that great for a modern 2D shooter. So... yeah. I should be using my mega missiles. And the music really is the most important part of a 2D shooter, because the gameplay itself in any 2D shooter is pretty stock. So you have to rely on other aspects to keep the player's attention. Anywho, next level, let's say Vulcan Cannon. So you can get that going pretty powerful. Oh, the fireball weapons are here. The fireball weapon is kind of tricky to use. It has this alternate fire mode that makes it wave a bit. Or you can just have it shoot straight. It does the thing with the fireball weapon is you can't really aim it, but it does good damage for where it goes. So it's kind of like the quintessential rear weapon. It's not specifically designed to kill things, but when it does hit stuff, it helps out, so whatever. And actually, I'm going to switch to dual shot. Oh, I can't because I don't have a... Grr. Now I have enough money. Actually, that was probably a bit of a waste. And more noises. Ah, screw it, single shots. Okay. Oh right, the bonus level. I thought we were actually going into the, Anywho, trick with the bonus level. Don't shoot these things until they fly towards you. Because one of them, if I didn't screw it up, would give you a 5000k gem, which is actually really important, so I'm going to try that again. Oh yeah, and I should mention that the full game has these data cubes that have, like, information you can read. Some of it is useful, well, I shouldn't say useful. Some of it gives you, like, story tidbits and stuff, and some of it's just advertising for other things Epic made, but... yeah. Yeah, don't destroy those things until they come towards you so that you can get their gems. And we want this one. See, 5,000 point gem. 5,000 points is 5,000 credits we can spend, so that's kind of an important thing not to miss on this bonus stage. And the reason I didn't get it on the first attempt was because if you kill an enemy by ramming it, it won't drop anything. So that's kind of an important thing to keep in mind. Actually, if you guys want to talk 2D shooters, I recently noticed that Raiden 3 actually came up on the Steam Marketplace recently. But after reading some of the information, it seems they just took the original Japanese PC port of it and just ported it again to modern systems without doing any modifications. So it only runs at 640 by 480 resolution, which means it's horribly pixelated if you try to run it on, you know, a modern system. Also, I hear that there's frame rate issues with it. So, yeah, frame rate issues and pixelation for a 3D game, no. And still not enough to really go up to dual shots, so... Okay, this level can be tricky if you're not prepared, but it's actually not that bad. Basically, you just got to keep in mind that those things can be destroyed, but the spinning things, but you have to hit them in the middle. So, we're probably not going to be able to get any of them. And yeah, I just thought there was glitching on the side there for a moment. It was weird. And yeah, you just saw another bug there. You can actually, these things that push you away, you can actually collect them as bonuses if they happen to be pushed off the edge of the screen. Which is just bizarre, but oh well. Ooh, what should we do? Let's stick with what we got there. Now we can go up to dual shots. Take advantage of my repulsor. Okay, I just activated the armor restoring twiddle by accident. That is one drawback to using the repulsor or other special weapons that require you to hit the button rapidly, is that you're almost guaranteed to accidentally activate a twiddle sooner or later. So why don't we actually switch to the flare? Because that just appeared. That is what the flare does. Not really that great. In fact, the repulsor is probably better, but it's harder to use, and I don't want to click my mouse like mad because I don't want to. Oh well. Okay. And yeah, the flare can only be used once every little while, and you can tell by the little light in the corner whether it's ready to use or not. Actually, there's a secret on this level specifically with the arcade mode, where you can actually get the laser weapon far earlier than you normally would be able to. And it's based on letting a particular enemy survive and then destroying it at a certain moment. But you can't do it in the full game. You can only do it in the arcade mode. Because the full game, because when you're playing the full game here, you don't actually get weapon power-ups mid-game. So, with one exception, there's actually there's a way to completely deck yourself out with the carrot ship weapons through a power-up very late in the game. The carrot ship being like this secret ship that's shaped like a carrot and has really good armor and is supposed to be armed with banana bombs and stuff like that. It's just weird. In fact, if you actually take the time to read through all the story tidbits in this game, there's all kinds of like very, very weird things going on. Like, I mean, the most notable being that there's like this there's this whole worship of this like Zinglon thing or something. Which, I don't know, it's just... I can't describe it. The story is just beyond weird. The one thing I think is kind of cool that's in the story stuff is that all the spaceships that these pilots fly have what's referred to as a mega sound chair, which basically lets you hear things in space, since normally you wouldn't be able to hear anything in space. You know, the whole vacuum thing and everything. I don't know, I thought it was a neat thing to do in the story concept, but, you know. I'm actually completely ignoring the chat at the moment, so I promise I'll take a look shortly. I'm just trying, you know, not to die. Kind of important. Okay. You guys are you guys are talking about Gorilla from the Q-Basic thing. Yeah, that did have banana bombs. I can't fault you for that. But anywho, look what showed up in the store here. The lightning cannon. This thing is powerful. I'm going to demonstrate just how powerful it is. Now, take a look at my energy levels. Up to level 10, the energy levels start to take a small dive as I'm shooting forward shots, right? So we'll let it charge back up here. Watch how fast it goes down at level 11. Oh, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. Oh, that's terrible. It means I can't demonstrate this. Ah, screw it. I'll demonstrate it when I have more money. And we'll stick with the dual shots. So now we have another Savara level. And actually, yeah, if this is another Savara level, I really should have Mega Missiles, not Dual Shots. Okay. This Savara level is thankfully nowhere near as difficult as the first one. However, it does have a lot of blimps, so you can get a lot of points on this level if you do a lot of shooting. Actually, I'm probably going to run out of Mega Missiles if I keep shooting these things. Yeah, guys talking about the shield system, how it uses up the generator power. That is one reason why the generator mechanic is so tricky to work with in here, is that if your generator is empty, your shields don't recharge. So you've always got to keep a sort of balance going, and because so many of the weapons either completely burn up generator power or barely use any at all, it's just a weird thing to have to keep in track with. Besides, later in the game, there's this generator you can get called the Graviton Pulse. It does it costs 50,000 credits, but it has the most ridiculous recharge rate ever. So once you have that thing, you're pretty much set for the rest of the game. Now we got our first mini-boss. Sort of. It's actually like the front end of the boss we fought in the very first level. The first Savara level, so... yeah, whatever. Destroy it, worth points, move on. And now we actually have to face a blimp as a boss, which has a laser weapon. He's actually not that hard. See? Not hard.
Level completed.
You know, doing a filler on those old Q-Basic games wouldn't be a bad idea, save for the fact that I don't actually have them. I mean, I might have them hidden somewhere, but I don't have easy access to them, let's put it that way. Okay, I think I can demonstrate this now. Okay. This is with the front gun. The lightning cannon at power 9. Power 10. Not really any much dropping, especially since I got rid of my rear weapon. Power 11. Oh yeah. That thing eats power like crazy at level 11, at power 11. But the thing is, it's so powerful. I'm tempted to just select this and be done with it. In fact, let's try that. No other sub-weapons. We're just going straight in, full-on lightning. It did ship with a version of DOS, and I don't believe my version of DOS came with it. I don't know. I'd have to look. Yeah, going full lightning here with no other sub-weapon. Well, okay, I guess I got that flare special still. And I never really got this either. If the planet's on fire, then why the heck can I not see anything? Why am I still dealing with lighting effects if there's, like, lava and everything beneath me? Or if the planet's burning or whatever. I don't know. Semantics, it's a game. It's a game where you fight mechanical noses and banana monsters. I don't know. Jason Emery's actually told me a little bit about some of the things that happened trying to get sprites made for this game. I don't know if I should relate the stories or not, so I'm not going to.
Large enemy approaching.
Ow. Okay, maybe going full on lightning wasn't a good idea for the boss side of things. The one thing I've always found neat about Tyrian 2000 is that every individual shot really is an individual shot in this game. So if your weapon has like 9 shots fired from it, you need to hit with all 9 to do maximum damage. Whereas some games cheat and make all 9 a single sprite, so that if just one piece of it hits, the whole thing hits.
Level completed.
Okay, and that's the end of episode 1. Complete with something that's been skewered. Rather unpleasantly. Seriously, what the heck was up with that? I never got that image as a kid. And here we go, the first mini-game. Yes, Tyrian 2000 has mini-games. I'm only going to play it briefly just to show you guys what this is about, but... yeah. Ow. But yeah, you can see I have extra lives in the top there, and you can actually get weapon power-ups and everything. And the bombs. I'll just quickly demonstrate a bomb once I get some enemies to shoot here. And then if anything hits one of those little pieces, explodes more. Yeah, and you're basically just playing just for the fun of it. There's no point to doing this, so we are leaving. Not that! Oh, grr. Go out. Start level. Skip. End the freaking episode and get a hint. See, that's one of the things I was telling you guys about, was getting that 5,000 point gem. Right in the game itself. I've always found that really awesome, that the game does that. Now that we're into the second episode, we've got some more weapons to choose from, like the Mega Pulse. The Mega Pulse is actually a pretty underrated weapon. It doesn't do a lot of damage on impact, but it explodes into multiple shots on impact. So it actually does tons of damage, but it also uses a bit of energy, and depending on the level it's at, the higher levels will actually track with your ship. So when you're moving left and right, the shots will also move left and right with you. So it can be a little tricky to use. I don't know. Let's go with it, just for the heck of it. And then another new weapon here is the Scatter Wave, which, you know, it looks like it has lots of shots and will do tons of damage to enemies to the side of you, but it really actually kind of doesn't. And the Starburst is another one, shooting all kinds of little pulses of stars to the sides. Perfect weapon for shooting enemies at the sides of you, except it doesn't actually do a lot of damage, so no, we're sticking with the Sonic Wave. The side ships are kind of cool. They're more expensive than the mini missiles because it's basically like a directed type of attack. So it does similar damage, but it's easier to aim and it moves faster. I don't know. Let's just stick with single shots for now. I hate when I'm short just a small amount. Because there is front and rear weapon power-ups in this level, so I want to have the rear gun powered up a bit. I guess mini missiles. Might as well use up that extra money. Okay, here we go. Actually, one thing I've noticed about this game is that a lot of the first levels of each episode are actually... No idea what happened. Everything just suddenly stopped on me. Okay. We're gonna acquire the mouse cursor. I should probably restart the level, because I have no idea when it cut out, but... Okay. I'm gonna take your guys' words for it that it's going, because there's an ad running right now that is longer than a minute on my side of the stream, so I have no idea what the stream looks like. So I'm taking your guys' words for it that it's streaming okay right now. Anywho, what the heck was I talking about? Oh really? I completely lost my train of thought. Okay, well you guys are talking about long-running ads, because I still have it running there, so... I'm gonna guess that it is working properly. But yeah, what was I this is gonna bother me now. Okay, okay, I remember now. It's, what I was talking about before the stream died suddenly on my side was, how a lot of the first levels of every episode in this game seem to be the best levels. I mean, Episode 2 is a great example of this, because the first level in Episode 2, it's got a good balance of enemies, it has a mini-boss, it has a boss fight, good music selection for the kind of level going on. Yet, the vast majority of Episode 2 in this game is just outer space levels, with nothing but space as your backdrop. So... yeah, this is weird like that. First episode of level 3 is nice and balanced. First episode of level 4 is really well done. First episode of level 5, I don't quite remember off the top of my head because... well, episode 5 is just mostly forgettable. Holy crap, that ad is still running. Oh, man. You guys better be right about the stream going, or I'm wasting my time here. Okay, the ad finally ended. Anybody clock that? How long that ad lasted for? That was ridiculous. Actually, I should point out that the mini-boss in this level it doesn't stick around. It's like, you start fighting, it's like, oh, I've already been destroyed twice by this guy. I don't want to go through that crap again. Oh, jeez. Actually, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I'm not really a fan of ad blockers. I mean, I understand why people like to use them, but me personally, my thought is, if the ads on a website or service are so intrusive that you absolutely cannot stand them, then I don't want to give that website my attention. Like, I mean, I don't want to promote some site that is ruining itself because of its ads. I don't know, that's just my opinion. If a site is so ad-filled, I just don't want to be a part of it. And personally, I think when you consider the internet and how a lot of the ads that do show up aren't any longer than 15 to 30 seconds. This one looked like it was like 2 or 3 minutes. It did have a skip ad button, but I wasn't about to stop playing just to hit the skip ad button. So, but when you consider that compared to something like television where you have to sit through like 3 minutes of commercials, I don't know. I think we've got it pretty good on the internet as it stands. But yeah, I understand why people do use ad blockers, and while I'm not an advocate of that kind of ad blockers, I'm not gonna like chide people for using them either. So, you know, one of the things I tell people is that whatever you got to do to enjoy watching like the show I produce and everything, just do it. I mean, I'm not gonna recommend doing anything that deprives like Blip or somebody of ad revenue, but you know, just do what you got to do. Because I know some people have trouble using the Blip system, so that's part of the reason why I started the YouTube channel, is because some people just can't get Blip to work on their computers properly. What can I say? Me personally, I've always had more issues with YouTube than Blip even before I signed up for YouTube. So now, there's an interesting bug with this level that I don't think a lot of people know about because it's really hard to trigger, and I probably won't be able to do it. But if you destroy the boss to this level before its health bar shows up, you have to destroy it a second time, with the pieces of it that weren't on screen being the only pieces you can actually shoot. So it's like the boss is only like partially formed, and you can only destroy it from those pieces. You pretty much can't trigger the bug unless you're like playing on an easier skill level, where you can actually do enough damage to the boss to destroy it that quickly, but we'll see. And there's our secret level. One thing I always find odd about games that take a stylistic approach with levels like this is, why are there two teeth growing out of the sides of the level? Like, what are you actually inside that it needs to grow that way? Or that it would? It's like... I'm like inside some ginormous mouth or something? Are we actually shooting, like, bacteria that are plaguing this thing's billions of teeth? We fighting cavities right now? You know, there's actually an Atari 2600 game that literally is you fighting off like germs and cavities in a mouth and stuff. And it's actually not that bad a game. Now, he didn't destroy it in time. Yeah, you pretty much have to be on an easier skill level to do it. But oh. Easy skill plus crank to 11 lightning. Yeah, that would probably do it. Ooh, we got the Microcorp Stalker ship. And yeah, basically each each series of ships sort of has its own set of weapons. Like, there's 2 different ships that have this sprite, there's 2 different ones that have this one, there's like 4 that have that one. And they're all sort of related in terms of their special weapons. Actually, we should switch back to the fireball here. Now, I've always found this very odd. This level has an item called the GenCore Solar Shield. But take a look at the Microcorp LXS Class B shield right before this one that's 6,000 credits cheaper, and take a close look at the shield gauge at the bottom there. identical shield levels, yet the Gen Core one is 6,000 credits more. I've never been able to figure out why. Like, I mean, as a kid, I always thought that maybe it recharged faster or something weird, but I don't know if that's the case or not. I've never really noticed any difference like that, but... Yay, better generators. Ooh, we got atom bombs now. These are basically, they're not as powerful as the mega missiles, but you get more of them and they recharge faster, so they actually end up being more powerful just from the extra ammo. So, ooh, or I could get proton cannon indigo. There's a lot of special sidekicks that sort of attach to the front of your ship, like in R-Type. Because R-Type, you got this big thing that you can shoot forwards and it just blasts stuff, and things like the proton cannon indigo are kind of like that. But, I don't know, I'd rather just have dual atom bombs.
Good luck.
And now begins the space levels. Get used to a lot of space, guys, because you're going to be seeing it for a bit. The chat's talking about ads right now. One thing that's... Every once in a while, when you're on... Whenever... This doesn't happen on Blip, because Blip is a little more selective with the ads they run. But every once in a while on YouTube, you'll see an ad that just makes you question what the heck they were thinking. A couple ads I've been getting recently... One of them I've only seen once, but they're both related to each other because they're both the same product. And clearly by the same advertising company. But basically, it's an ad where this older gentleman is on a tennis court, a ball comes at him, he hits the ball, and it just goes over his head and flies behind him, and then he just walks up to the camera with this very creepy grin and just sort of laughs a bit. And then the Viagra logo comes up. Like, what the hell? What does playing tennis and a creepy guy smiling about it have to do with Viagra? And I see the ads so often. Oh my jeez. I'm sorry, what the... I mute the ads, okay? So maybe there's some context I'm missing, but... What the heck? And it looks... The guy's got such the... He's got the creepiest... Who greenlit that ad? Oh, man. I swear, some advertisers really don't know what the hell they're doing. Oh, man.
Level completed.
I'm reading the chat now. Is that what it actually says in that commercial, or are you just making that up? Ooh, here's a new weapon. The Zyka flamethrowers in this game are actually really, really powerful. The only thing is there's two issues with this weapon. The first issue is that it's short-ranged and kind of uses a little bit of power. It's not that terrible. The second issue is it's loud as hell. Seriously, you gotta turn your volume down if you're gonna be using the Zyka flamethrower, especially if you've got two of them. It's just this sound the whole time. It's literally one of the very few things I don't use in a game simply because I don't like the way it sounds. It's just... I want to tear my hair out. I have a lot of hair, so it would take a while.
Good luck.
And see, the space levels continue. As I said, get used to the space theme. We got a lot more of it to come. Is it really possible to do a good impression of a bad sound effect? Really? Oh. Anywho, more strange ads, because I've seen some other weird ones. Another one I saw recently, this was on YouTube, watching something G-rated. I'm going to point out, this is important. The as I said, I have the ads, I always mute the ads. The advertisement starts with what looks to be a trio of Japanese men dancing to what's probably music. Again, I've got it on mute. And then it starts showing random men cuddling with those pillows that they have in Japan, those body-sized pillows that have the anime characters on them. And they're also kissing them. Again, this was an ad on a G-rated thing. On YouTube. The thing, I forget how long the ad was, but it was at least a minute long. I did not watch the whole thing, despite my morbid curiosity, because that was just too strange even for me. That was just... I mean, sure, if that's your thing, go right ahead, but they were probably advertising something completely different. Because that's how these ads usually are. It's just like the Viagra ad. This is a guy on a tennis court somehow makes for a Viagra ad. I don't know. Oh wait, there's the super carrot. I'm tempted to fly as the super carrot, except the stalker bee kind of has more armor and, you know, it's kind of looks normal. I don't know. Yeah, screw it. Ooh, the hyperpulse weapon. The hyperpulse weapon is basically just a pulse cannon that is more rapid and has a little bit more of a wider range of attack. It's actually not, I don't know which I would prefer. The Mega Pulse, I like the fact that you can direct it, but the hyperpulse is more powerful. Ah, let's try that. No new weapons here. Oh wait, the Graviton Pulse Wave is here. So let's... Yeah, did you just see what happened to my energy there? The standard MR9 generator, that really tiny thing, just drained my energy down. Watch how fast it comes back when I turn the Graviton Pulse Wave on. Yeah. Once you have this generator, energy levels are, like, null and void. You never have to worry about them again. And stick with atom bombs. And we're good.
Good luck.
By the way, another space level. I warned you guys, nothing but space ahead of us for a bit. The Vulcan cannon and the Vulcan gun in this game is actually pretty decent. It's just, there's better. That's all. But you can do worse. Like the missile launcher, forget about it. Anything is better than the missile launcher in this game. Actually, scratch that. There is one weapon that's even worse than the missile launcher. The heavy guided bombs. Because you can't aim them. They're not adding more backdrops in space. Exactly. No, I guess they just really like their parallaxing star effect. Which I have to admit, it's a good parallaxing star field, but, you know, backgrounds, maybe, kinda, please. Okay, fine. Okay. You guys can't destroy me. I'm flying a carrot. With a cockpit in it. Because apparently carrots can do that.
Level completed.
Oh, we'll give it this. At least some of these levels are short. Anywho. Oh, the Buster rockets are here. Earlier, I was telling you guys about the post-it mines, how it sort of flies backwards when it hits something. The Buster rockets are really expensive, and they are really powerful, but there's one little catch. When they hit something, they explode sideways. Specifically sideways. So they don't really do a lot of damage, because the explosion just misses everything. If the explosion can hit something like really well because it's a really wide object, then you're fine, but there's very few objects like that in the game, so they just end up being useless.
Good luck.
Oh yeah, guess what? Another space level. Are you surprised? And this one's longer than mistakes. One thing I do like, though, is how those first two open up from the top, or open up from the bottom, and then the last one opens up from the top there. Kind of tricks you, but yeah. It's another space level. See, now, it wouldn't be so bad if there was, like, obstacle or something, like in the asteroid levels, which are space levels themselves, but have, like, platforms and everything. But these levels are just nothing but open space. Yeah, the Starfield was nice the first time. Now it's the fourth time. Now look, bounces back up. See, we've got things doing things differently, so it's going to be a much better level. Except it's still in space. I don't know. Now I'm just nitpicking. What were we talking about before? Oh, right, ads. Ads. Let me tell you guys about another crazy YouTube ad I saw. Not because the ad itself was crazy, just the length of it. Okay? It was an ad for what I think was... It was either carb... Or, no, what was it? Was it cars? It was some kind of expensive thing. It was either car related or fitness related. It was one of those two. But in any case, the ad itself started out pretty normally. You know, it had the skip it button and everything, so I was thinking, fairly normal ad from the looks of it. Now, obviously, I wasn't going to watch it, but as I was about to close the page out, I caught a glimpse of the time limit out of the corner of my eye. 23 minutes. Who the heck is going to interrupt their video viewing experience for a 23-minute long ad. I'm waiting to see if anyone in the chat answers that. Oh yeah, I've got the flare weapon. And the atom bombs. I even once saw a crazy long ad for farming equipment of all things. I don't know why I got a farming equipment ad, but it was like 11 or 13 minutes long. I was like, who's gonna watch? Somebody watching Let's Plays or something, who's gonna sit there for 11 to 13 minutes watching an ad about farming equipment? I don't know. Like, here's the thing. The whole thing with advertisements, and it's something that I tell everybody, is that advertisers know that if they don't have your attention in the first 2 or 3 seconds of an advertisement, they've lost you. Those first 2 or 3 seconds is the most important part of any ad. You don't have their attention by the end of those 2 or 3 seconds, your ad is meaningless to that person. Once you have their attention, though, you can usually keep it for a fair length of time. So, that's part of the reason why these advertisers will actually run huge ads, is because they know that if they get somebody interested, they're probably going to watch a good chunk of the advertisement. So, yeah, that's how it is. Anywho. Okay, now we got a choice between... Okie dokie. Stupid stream interruptions. That time my Wi-Fi actually cut out for a second, so I actually heard the little jingle for when I lose device connection. But it came back pretty quickly, so... Anyways, where were we? Sorry, my headphone cord is tangled in my chair. It's making me not able to position myself properly. Okay. Back to the gameplay, now that the stream is working properly. So, for this next level, we actually have a choice between Botany A and Botany B. Now, Botany A is kind of, it's almost the same excuse me. It's almost the same selection as in the first episode when we had the asteroids levels. Botany A is mostly ships, and Botany B is mostly turrets. Personally, I find Botany B to be easier, but if you're not very good at dodging stuff, you should probably go for Botany A because there's going to be less shots flying all over the screen. But Botany B, it's easier to hit things. Besides, I can actually use full-on lightning now that I've got the Graviton Pulse. Seriously, I'm not changing this weapon until something like Zyka or a laser comes across. Actually, now that I think about it, I think the lightning's even more powerful than the laser. I'll have to test that someday. But yeah, as fun as Tyrian is, and as much stuff as it has, one of its drawbacks is that it's really unbalanced. This game could have used a lot more balancing. In fact, that's actually a common thing that happens with PC shooters in general. Any shooter that's made specifically for the PC instead of for arcades typically has this thing going on where there's fewer enemies overall, but each one takes a boatload more shots. Whereas in an arcade-based shooter, many of the enemies usually only take a single hit, no matter how powerful your weapons are. It's just something I've always found interesting. One of the people in the chat is talking about random French time right now. I feel I should point out that I'm actually on a French ISP, so half of the ads I see are actually in French, so even if I didn't mute them, I wouldn't be able to understand them anyways, because I don't speak French. Somewhat convenient in that sense. The flip side is, though, that I'm apparently getting disconnects every so often. Usually only happens when I'm doing, like, heavy uploading. I think it might actually just be the modem or something. And now everybody in the chat is going to talk in French just because I can't understand them. Well. Actually, that Viagra commercial ad I was telling you guys about earlier, I think that's actually in French. I'm not 100% positive, though. I don't pay attention. I don't have it on, like, the audio on, so...
Level completed.
Oh, by the way, no longer in space. Well, deep space, I should say. So, we have things to look at again. Yay! I don't want companionship, Gerund.
Good luck.
There's actually some more 5,000 point gems you can get in this level. I think it was the one I just missed there, but I'm not entirely certain. The timing's pretty tight to get the 5,000 point gems on this level, so that's why I typically don't intentionally go for them. Something I should point out about this game is that if you're playing on skill levels higher than hard, you actually get a multiplier for your score. So you actually get more points and can thus upgrade to better equipment faster. Which can make some aspects of playing on the harder skill levels a little easier, but considering the massive increase in the shot speeds and the enemy durability, it doesn't balance out very well. And since we were on the topic of advertisements, let me just tell you guys about one more crazy YouTube ad. This one's not really all that crazy, except for why anybody would pay money to show it as an advertisement. It was basically an instructional video for how to do a 10-minute instructional video on how to do something on the computer. This was an advertisement that popped up. Why does that need to be an ad, and why would you pay money to make it an ad? And it even had this whole amateur quality about it. It was almost as if there was like a special button you could push in YouTube that said, post this video as an ad. I don't know, it was very weird. Speaking of, oh man, this was so long ago. Like 4 or 5 years ago, I saw this ad on YouTube. It was only 2 minutes long, but it was an advertisement that told you how to hack car data. I'm not kidding. Oh, man. That was so long ago. I only saw the ad once. I imagine it got pulled really quick. So I'd hate to be the person who greenlit it. Yeah, advertising on the internet's always been a funny thing.
Large enemy approaching.
It's like banner ads. Like, banner ads barely pull in any money. They never did, even way back when. So it's a wonder that anyone still uses them. And look, we get to see some Griffin's crystallized green brain. What? Certain small scouts craft is attacked by one of the dragons. Huh. I don't think I ever got this hint before. Oh. Okay, and now we're in the final episode of the original game before it became Tyrian 2000. Actually, before it even became Tyrian 2.0. So no new weapons for the first level, unfortunately. In fact, we're not going to see any more new weapons until much later. I mean, we did see the Plasma Storm earlier, like, available in the store, but the Plasma Storm is... It's not a bad weapon, but it has such limited ammo that... And you can't even see it because the shots for the Plasma Storm take up, like... They're huge. They're, like, really freaking huge. And you know what? Let's just show you guys what this Plasma Storm weapon's like. Because few people ever use it, because you don't get an idea of what it's like. So now, I'm going to fire a shot in a moment here. I'm not going to do it yet, because I want to actually be able to shoot something with it. We'll wait until the waves of these things come out. There we go. That was the Plasma Storm weapon. Ginormous balls of fire that'll pass through everything and do tremendous damage. But you have to be really careful with the Plasma Storm weapon, because if you hold the fire button down, it will rapidly fire all 6 of the shots you have. Oh yeah, and it tracks your ship, too, when you move left and right. I don't know, this is a very weird weapon. But because you only get 6 shots, and because it's really easy to accidentally, like, use all of it up, and because you can't preview it, it's not a very popular weapon. But in a pinch, it does work. Sorry, I'm paying attention. Whew.
Level completed.
Yeah, that is one thing that banner ads are still useful for, is specifically for people who don't have a lot of money, who want to advertise their stuff. Like, some of the ads that show up on places like DeviantArt or any of those other art sites. I think the ads on, what's that website? The Cutting Room Floor? I think the ads on that website are relatively inexpensive. They're based on a whole bidding system, though, which is why I've never tried taking one out. Here's another weapon that's rarely used by people in this game, is the Phoenix device. You only get 8 shots, and it just shoots these fireballs in 4 directions. It's just not worth it. It's really hard to use properly. Ooh, this level is nasty. For a lot of reasons. The main reason, though, is that everything takes a ton of shots to destroy. And I'm using the lightning cannon. I always found that very bizarre. If you were listening to the thing right there, it said unexplained speed increase, and then at the bottom of the screen it said afterburners activated. How is the speed increase unexplained if you intentionally engaged your afterburners? That is another thing that they kind of screwed up with this game, is the voice cues. They could have had a lot more voice cues, but pretty much every voice cue in the game comes up in the very first level. And then they never put in any more following. I don't know, maybe the person who did the voice cues, like, disappeared or something. Which, given the stories I've heard about this game, wouldn't surprise me, but... But as I said, I'm not going to relate those stories because I don't know if I should or not.
Data acquired.
Yeah, one thing that's always been interesting about this game is just how graphically powerful it is, given how little power it's actually using. It has translucency effects, parallaxing effects, and it's doing all of this at a 16-bit level, which just makes it just that much more impressive. Most of the games that had these effects were 32-bit games. Yeah, Traffic Department 2192 is another good example of a game where all the effort went into the first episode. Now this boss is actually kind of interesting because you can only damage it in that center part there, and if I didn't have the lightning cannon, this would have taken a lot longer. But yeah, there's actually, shareware gaming in a nutshell can pretty much be described as shareware version has all the features, registered version just has more levels. I mean, I know not every shareware game is like that, but it describes quite a lot of them. Now, this is oh, wait. Actually, no, we'll keep going. Because there's going to be a front weapon power-up later in this level. But knowing my luck, it's just going to be something to replace the flare weapon, so... screw it. But yeah, this particular level is labeled as bonus, but it's actually a really long level. Yeah, see, there's where the front weapon power-up would have been, but it turned into the attractor, which I'm not replacing the flare with, because the attractor is kind of stupid. You know how the repulsor weapon pushes shots away from you? Well, the attractor special weapon pulls items towards you in the same manner. So naturally, they tend to overshoot you and... oh, there's the repulsor again. So naturally, they tend to overshoot you, and thus you don't get them. And you know what? I really should have equipped a side-firing weapon for this level, now that I think about it, because we're about to get attacked like that. Ow. Oh yeah, I've got the flare. That'll help. Okay, we're good. Later shareware games were like that. Like, I mean, Duke Nukem 3D is a good example, because all the more interesting weapons are all in the registered version. But... actually, Shadow Warrior was like that too. But then not every game was like that. Like, I think the shareware version of Hexen, you can get most of the weapons in that game in the shareware version. Oh, darn it. But like a true bonus level, it does actually quit the level and send you on to the next one if you lose it. So we don't have to replay it. I keep all the stuff I had. Let's move on. You know what? That dual shot's barely doing anything, so I'm going to switch back to atom bombs.
Good luck.
One of the things I always found interesting about Descent and Descent 2 as shareware games is that Descent 2 has Whoa. There were 5k diamonds there. I keep forgetting that there's a couple like that in this level. But yeah, Descent and Descent 2. There's weapons in Descent 2 that you can't get in the shareware version of Descent 2 that you can't get in the shareware version of Descent 1, like the plasma cannon. Well, that and, of course, some of the extra weapons that Descent 2 added, because Descent 2 has like 20 weapons in it. There it is. I probably shouldn't have done that. Now, this level is actually really unusual. Near the end of this level, you destroy this sort of cluster of enemies, and they each, right there, those secret orbs are not identical. Some lead to certain levels, and some lead to other levels. I have no idea which one I'm going to. But we're going to find out. Moment of silence for no reason whatsoever. I can't get the gem. I'm missing my 250 points. Shareware versions. That's what we were talking about. Let's see. You know, one thing that is good is that there are game developers who are still doing demonstration versions of their software. And sometimes they just release something, like, terrible that doesn't deserve to be called a demo version. But, you know, every so often, these developers are releasing fairly decent demo versions of their software. So, it's not that shareware has died, it's just simply transformed, in a sense. I don't know. That's how I would put it. Like, look, what the heck? The LXS Class C shield is half the cost of the solar shield, and yet it's more powerful. Why? Why does that work that way? Now, here's an interesting weapon. 8-way micro bombs. If you want to spread damage everywhere, these things will do it. You get a pair of these, and every single shot you fire of them is 16 little balls of destruction. Each individual one, though, isn't all that powerful, so it's kind of like a weapon you would use if you really don't know what you're doing, you just somehow got this far out of luck. So we're not going to use them. Unless you guys want me to, but too late, I'm playing the level. No one's been making any weapon requests, so I'm just choosing weapons as I go. But yeah, there's actually different secret levels I could have ended up at. Asteroid City's one of them. There's another one you can go to that will actually give you those bomb power-ups, like in the bonus game that we played earlier. But we didn't get that one, unfortunately. I missed the check mark. It's actually just bonus points, but I missed it. Because it was hiding behind the graphics. Yeah, draw order issues. That's actually something some people might not realize about 2D shooters, is that just by the way the sprites work in general, you have to be really careful not to allow your bullets to show up behind things. Because how are you supposed to dodge a bullet if you can't see it? And which Whirlwind is it? Oh man, it's the Okay, there's actually 2 Whirlwind special weapons in this game. One of them releases just a flurry of shots everywhere. The other, the one I got, is the one where you have to rapidly press the fire button to get multiple Whirlwind shots. Needless to say, I'm using a weapon that can fire more rapidly than I can click the mouse button. So that does not help me. Oh well. Life goes on. It's not like the flare attack. To be perfectly honest, the special weapons in this game aren't all that useful. With a few exceptions in the arcade mode. So in the arcade mode, those special weapons become really helpful. In fact, one thing that's really interesting about the arcade mode is that many of the regular weapons in the game actually come with special weapons that you don't normally get in the full game. So it kind of makes it a little more interesting that way. I'm reading the chat window and trying to play at the same time. It's not easy. And I'm out of atom bombs. But that's okay. I'm out of level to explore. And the weapons are pretty much staying the same now. Manas. Trying to remember this level. Oh right, this is the ice level. Now, this level's kind of weird, and you'll see as we get further in. But one thing that I do like, though, is that there's some 2D shooters out there that subject you to enemies coming up from behind without warning you. This level actually warns you when enemies are going to attack from behind. You have no idea how much better that makes rear attacking enemies in this game. So when you know they're coming, that's good. See, it says right there, enemy approaching from behind, and it even had a danger sound cue to let you know it was going to happen. Okay, so there's one of those ginormous ships that you can't destroy, normally. The thing is, you do eventually fight one that you can destroy. But what's even more weird is that the way the attack pattern works is that once they start moving sideways, you can actually damage them, even though they're only going to be on the screen for just a short period of time longer. So, I don't know, it's just weird like that. But that's still not everything that's weird about this level. And you'll see more as we keep going through it. Yeah. It just froze everything behind in the background. Now I want you guys to think about this for a second. This was an ice level. There was snow and ice everywhere. And now the snow and ice is somehow more frozen? I don't know. Now you might think reading the story details might help, but it kind of doesn't. And now everything's back to normal. It's like... This level is so weird. Actually, no, this entire game is weird. Forget just this level. And you know what? I'm getting the repulsor back, because I'd rather have the repulsor instead of the single-shot Whirlwind.
Enemy ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have any more funny advertisements to talk about. Oh well.
Large enemy approaching.
Camera above the clouds. Maybe. Actually, yeah, see, while it was coming on screen, I could damage that thing. But the moment it was completely on screen, I couldn't damage it anymore. And then here's the one that you actually fight as a boss, so this one you're supposed to be able to damage. Like that.
Level completed.
And yeah, once you get far enough into the full game... Oh, there's the laser finally. Max it out. The laser used to be my favorite weapon in this game. Used to be. Then I started playing on higher skill settings. Basically, at this point in the game, the laser is just sort of like a weaker lightning cannon. Because they're both firing at the same rapidity, so... We'll stick with it just to show you guys a bit of it. Now, you may have noticed that every time I get the rear weapon back up to level 11, I've been dropping it down. That's to get my score up. Because every time I sell this back down, I'm getting a ton of points out of it. So it's basically just a way to have more money and to increase your points. Because if you get a rear weapon power-up or a front weapon power-up and the weapon's fully upgraded, you don't get more upgrades, so you can't get more points out of it. Oh, this bonus level. Well, we're not going to be firing weapons for this level, because this level is nothing but obstacles. And I used to have such a problem with this level when I was a kid. Truth be told, it's not actually all that difficult. But it is definitely intimidating. And it also begs the question of why the hell you would have spinning maces and wooden blocks in space on asteroids. Or whatever these platforms are made out of. They look like asteroid surfaces or something. It's cobblestone in space! Oh, man. I so need to call something cobblestone in space someday. I only just came up with that. Actually, no, that would probably be really corny. You gotta love the skull symbol on the wooden blocks, too. Ow, ow, ow. Reading the chat and flying at the same time. It is the recipe for disaster. Make it bad. Someone's been playing my games. Sorry, my eye was itching there. Civilization developed space travel, but they never quite perfected firearms or explosives. Well, what do you expect? Stick with the laser. That. And that. Ooh. Guess what we have access to now? Zyka superchargers. Oh, we also have access to the Vulcan shot option. There's a way to get this earlier, but kind of missed the opportunity because it's secret level related, but the Vulcan shot option is pretty good early on, but the Zyka supercharger, there's a reason why these things are worth 50,000 credits. Best sidekicks in the game. Oh, and technically the last level up this episode. Technically. And I just remembered, the Zyka laser sidekicks, you gotta hold the button down to use them. Because they're a charging weapon, so you can charge up the shots for it if you really want to. But screw that, they're powerful even uncharged, so... Now the one thing that's kind of bad about the laser is that you can't really see what's on the other side of it. Oh. But yeah, the whole thing with the story is right now you're supposed to be trying to face off against the entire Microsol fleet. Microsol being the sort of the bad guys of the game. Don't know which whirlwind that is, so I'm just gonna leave it sit. Oh. Marble garden. Oh, jeez. I don't even know what you guys are talking about now. And I've got the entire chat window in front of me. Yeah, the laser is weaker than the lightning gun. So it's kind of weird that you don't get it until very late in the third episode, when the lightning gun is so readily available from other parts of the game. And these things are really hard to destroy because they actually have this sort of magnetic effect that swings you around. I never quite understood these giant fire pretzels, or I don't know what, like fire cheesies or something. They make me hungry, whatever they are. And I haven't had dinner yet. So, first thing I'm doing when this stream is over, food. Second thing I'm doing after that is sleep. I don't know if I mentioned this at the start or not, but I'm only on 4 hours of sleep, so... And yeah, last boss is nothing special. But notice how we're still going. That was the last level of the 3rd episode. Technically. If you're playing on the hard skill level or higher, you actually go through 3 more levels. Just as sort of a bonus of sorts. And this is where you get the Zyka laser. Finally have access to this thing. The Zyka laser is freaking powerful. And just so I can get the score up higher, I'm going to go with that one there. Oh, and we got some more interesting weapons here. Rear heavy missiles. They're not really that useful because you can only spread so much damage around with them, but they're about as useful as the regular heavy missiles, so yeah. And then the rear mega pulse, which is actually does shoot a shot forwards. So it's not terrible, but it's not great. And the wild ball is kind of like, it's similar to the fireball weapon, except it's not as powerful, but its alternate firing mode lets you shoot it backwards. Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. That's why it's wild. But, I don't know, let's go rear mega pulse. Level 10. So that we can get points out of it. I'm not changing the Zyka superchargers out.
Good luck.
Oh, it's a Tyrian level with no headlight effect. That's because it's Tyrian X. I don't know why the letter X makes it so that it's not dark. It just kind of does. But yeah, it's basically just a souped up version of the first level to be more difficult, so to speak. The enemy shots are moving faster. We're moving faster through the level in general. I wait until we get to the spiked areas. And none of the secret level stuff is in place, I don't think.
Data acquired.
Yeah, there's no secret level there. Yeah. But yeah, normally we'd slow down for this part right here, but notice we're still going full speed. So this section goes by a lot faster. I'm sorry, I'm trying to concentrate. That is another... I just spotted it there. I keep forgetting about this. One very odd thing about this game that you typically sort of notice but then don't pay attention to is that... How do I explain this? All the shots fired by enemies in this game that are actually shots and not like enemies, like... I don't know how to... Oh. Okay, any of the shots in this game that are actually registered into the game as shots and not as enemies, when you move the screen, like when the screen actually moves, the shot doesn't move relative to its actual position. So basically what ends up happening is the shots sort of move further left and right than they should, relative to how much you're moving around. I don't know, it's just weird like that. Yeah, that guy went down a lot faster with the more powerful weapons. And we're not switching back to lightning for very obvious reasons. Now, I said we're not going to switch out the Zyka superchargers, but the level after this one has a very unusual sub-weapon that I want to show you guys. Also note the music is different in this level. It's the only time in the entire game you'll hear this music. Oh, I just got one of the twiddles to work. Oh, jeez. Later, Squall Strife. Hope you had fun. Don't forget, guys, that I'll eventually have these streams posted on YouTube for everyone to see, so... I just want to get caught up with other stuff on there first. I've still got the very first and second live streams archived, so... Actually, one thing I should probably mention is, as some of you may be aware, I've only got 2 more episodes left for Season 3 of Ancient DOS Games. And then it's basically 2 months where it's going to be nothing but fillers. And the typical, going to do it just like last year, where it's basically 2 fillers in November, 2 fillers in December, and then Season 4 will start at the beginning of January. But... some of you might be wondering, like, if I'm going to be doing, like, more stuff related to Patreon supporters during the off time. I'm thinking of maybe having, like, 2 live streams a month during November and December, just because I'll have more time to do that. Or I might come up with something else. I don't know. We'll see. But just to assure you guys that it's not like November and December are not going to have stuff to watch or anything. There's definitely going to be stuff to watch in November and December. Just not regular ADG episodes. Ooh, we got the Microscorp Stalker C. Which unfortunately isn't the prototype, but oh well. Because yeah, there's actually something I should note here is that there's a prototype Stalker ship you can get before you get to this part of the game. And if you have it, when you beat the 3rd episode, you go to a special mini-game that you wouldn't normally go to. Because there is actually a mini-game at the end of the 3rd episode for every other ship you can fly. But if you have the prototype Stalker, it will be a completely different mini-game. Anywho, here's the special weapon I wanted to show you guys. Wobblies. They're almost completely pointless, but it's just a fun special weapon. Actually, they do fairly okay damage, so... And they auto-fire, unlike the Zyka Supercharger, where I have to hold the right mouse button down as well as the left mouse button, so... Ooh, actually, I just thought of something I should probably mention to you guys. Because we were talking about 2D shooters and everything. Well, one particular 2D shooter I played recently is called Jets and Guns Gold, or something like that. And it's on Steam. And... see, here's the thing. The reason why I thought of it just now is because it's actually very similar to Tyrian in terms of gameplay and everything. It's a horizontal scroller, not a vertical scroller. But it has the same sort of aesthetic where you're buying generators and ships and upgrading your weapons and stuff. Enemies take lots of hits. There's a storyline going on. overall, it just has a lot of things similar to Tyrian. But I don't recommend actually playing it. It's getting some fairly decent reviews, but there's something about it that infuriates the heck out of me. And I think if people actually sat down and thought about it for a second, it would infuriate them too. There's no indication when you take damage. None. When you take... Well, okay, there's a sound cue that does play, but it's incredibly quiet. So it's hard to hear it in the first place. And that's it. It's just a sound cue. When you take damage in this game, like not the game you're watching right now, but the game I'm talking about, Jets and Guns, or whatever it was. I think that's what it's called. I don't have it in front of me, but when you take damage in that game, all there is a tiny sound cue that you can barely hear, and there's nothing else to indicate that you're taking damage. Here in Tyrian, when you take damage, your ship will actually have like the shield effect, and if you take damage without your shields, you'll actually bounce around. The shots will actually physically push your ship, and you'll hear this loud thud sound. But no, the Jets and Guns, there's no indication that you're taking hits. You just eventually die because you aren't paying attention to how much health you have. Because it's so hard to pay attention to it. The health gauge is just this tiny little gauge in the corner that's barely visible in the first place. It just does a terrible job of giving feedback to the player so that they understand when they're actually taking damage and everything. It ruins what is essentially an otherwise decent game, save for the fact that it's incredibly long. Whoops, I accidentally skipped the... What's it there? There's this ending cinematic. It's basically just this very badly rendered ship flies by, and then you shoot 3 shots, and then you see an explosion, but you don't actually see the ship itself explode. And that's it. No. So that would be the end of Tyrian if it was version 1.0. I don't know. You guys want me to go on and do the 4th episode? It's been a little over a couple hours now. I don't actually know how many people are still watching. It says 3 viewers, and one of those is going to be me, so that means there's 2 people watching right now. So, I don't know, you guys want me to do the 4th episode? I'm not doing episode 5, because episode 5 is just ridiculous. But, episode 4? Any takers? Anyone? Is my chat window even working? Oh yeah, my chat window's working. Well, the 4th episode's not that long, so what the hell, let's do it. So, already going into the 4th episode, we get this new weapon called the Widget Beam. It actually pretty much sucks, so no. And yeah, that's basically our only stuff. Actually, let's switch that back down, just so we can get more points. And we'll stick with our wobblies, because they're wobbly. And here we go. Episode 4. And once again, we have our headlight effect. But at least we have some new graphics, and that is something I do have to say, is that at least when they came up with the 2.0 revision of Tyrian, and they added the 4th episode, they actually put some effort into doing like new graphics and everything. Not like Episode 5. Episode 5, yeah, it's full of new graphics, but they look nothing like the graphics in the rest of the game. So... yeah. One thing that's neat is if you fly through these arches, there's actually gems hidden underneath the arches. So when you fly through them, you get items. And that one actually has a secret level. So
Unexplained speed creep.
there's another unexplained afterburners engaged. Oh, now we got enemies firing lightning at us. How convenient. Player couldn't have all the lightning fun. Danger. We're shooting lightning. And have very little health for some reason. And then lots of health once we're actually off screen because of the way that the health indicator works. Yeah, I'm low on stuff to talk about right now. I guess I could talk about what I've been doing programming-wise. You know, just to pass some time until something else interesting happens in the game. Most of the programming this week has, again, just been stuff that I can't really show because it's just, you know, foundation-type work. Was putting the some basic touches on an input handler that I'm writing, so that basically just a way to unify all the different control aspects of a game, so that I don't have to constantly program like different control interfaces for every little thing the game can do. So it's like if I want, how do I explain this without confusing everyone? Basically, I was programming something so that I can just tell the game, here's a particular control that you can do in the game, like move up. And now that the game knows that there's a control for move up, I just tell it what all the different inputs are. And now, instead of having to scan those inputs to determine if the thing moves up or not, all I have to do is scan the control that knows that it has all these inputs to it. So it just simplifies the whole prospect immensely. But the thing is, I'm also writing this stuff so that I can use it in future projects, because as you guys can see, you know, doing a web show and then doing these live streams and all this stuff, it takes a while to code stuff. So having all this foundation stuff now, yeah, it's making the game take about 1,000,000 times longer to make, but in the long run, it's going to save me a ton of time when I go to make other projects. So, it is a good idea to get it all out of the way. Next thing I got to do is write a texture handler, because I already have a texture handler in place, but I want to write something that's a little more generic so that I can copy it over to future projects. Because the one I have right now, it's proprietary to the project. So if I moved it over to another project, I'd have to rewrite it. So I want to basically rewrite it now so that I can use it in future projects without having to rewrite it. Yeah, spending time now to save time in the future. And then after that, I have to do a sprite handler. And I'm going to do another sort of global sort of sprite handler that I can copy over, again, without having to modify it for future games. So, and you might be thinking, why didn't I do this stuff before? Because back in 2007, when I released my last game, I wasn't thinking about doing stuff like that. Yeah. Yes, I am using new engines for my games, because the last game I worked on at all was Space Fortress 2. And with that, I was still using the older version of Allegro. And Allegro is the game programming libraries that I use that provide all the basic functionality like graphics and sound and I/O and all that. But Now I'm using Allegro 5. And Allegro 5... oh, there's still more till I took my hand off the mouse there. Allegro 5 is hardware accelerated. So I'm actually have to basically start from scratch with a lot of this. Because when you're writing for hardware acceleration, it's a completely different paradigm from writing for non-hardware accelerated stuff. But it should turn out very well in the long run. So it's a matter of thinking ahead and doing what I feel will work out the best.
Good luck.
But yeah, once I actually start getting into stuff I can show with my current game project, there'll actually be a lot of copy-paste going on. Because a lot of the old code I can still use. Like, the code for the level generation is not going to change. The code for the tile mapping system is not going to change. Code for the enemies might change because it'll be taking advantage of the new texture handlers and sprite handlers. But yeah, a lot of the old code that I had before I started doing all this rewriting stuff for the name change and everything should be good to use. I just have to get to the point where I can use it. Yeah, performance with hardware accelerated programming is a really interesting thing. A lot of beginner programmers trying to do hardware accelerated graphics will often just throw a bunch of textures in and throw a bunch of draw commands in and just hope for the best. But if you want good performance, that isn't going to work. Oh, and by the way, the screen just flipped. You don't have to adjust your monitors. The game actually was supposed to do that. I don't know why the game does that there, but I don't even know why the game has the ability to do that. But there you go. Nothing interesting. Let's go.
Good luck.
But yeah, when I actually talk to people about optimizations and writing for hardware accelerated graphics, one of the first things. Okay, I think we're back now. My Wi-Fi cut out again. Oh well. One of these days I'll have a better internet connection and everything. That day is not now, though. So anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, right, hardware accelerated. One of the first things I tell people when it comes to hardware accelerated rendering, if they want to learn how to do it and, you know, make it not run sloppy or anything, is you really have to learn to switch textures as infrequently as possible. Like, you can have all of your different sprites on a single large texture. In fact, that's the best way to do it, is just have like 1,000 or so sprites on one ginormous texture. But you want to avoid changing the active texture you're drawing from. You just need to avoid doing it, because those texture changes are the main bottleneck for any kind of performance optimization with hardware acceleration. To give you an example, one of my first forays into doing hardware accelerated graphics, I tried doing a tile mapping engine, and it used separate textures for everything, because I thought that was, you know, the best way to do it, and I figured, nah, it can't be that big of a performance hit. And then I tried running it and got a frame rate of about 10. Yeah. So I spent some time optimizing the thing so that all the textures would be on a single texture map. and then basically just use pieces of that texture map to act as the different sprites. And then, instead of a frame rate of 10, I had a frame rate of 560. It makes a massive difference. So you just got to avoid switching textures as much as you possibly can when you're doing hardware accelerated rendering. Non-hardware accelerated rendering, it doesn't matter, because switching the active texture is just simply changing a memory pointer. Whereas on the hardware acceleration level, changing the active texture actually has to change a whole bunch of settings and configurations and everything. And it has to reset up the graphics to use the texture properly. So it's part of the reason why it takes that long. And yeah, the screen's supposed to go black there. I'll even prove it by using the flare weapon and screwing it up. And hey, now we have time limits for some reason. Actually, one of the things this game adds are these special timed battle modes. I never... Ow. Okay, I should probably pay more attention to what I'm doing. Yeah, one of the things the 2.0 version of Tyrian added was timed battle modes for the single-player game. And it's just a weird thing. It was like, you're going through a fixed sequence of events. So the time limit really doesn't affect anything until you get to the boss. And then it's just whatever time is left, which is going to be the same every time you play through. Because the level doesn't change or anything. So, I don't know. Maybe they had some ideas with that. It's just sort of a tacked on extra just so that they could, you know, put their time limit to use, I guess. Yeah. I'm reading the chat now. Yeah, I can see it being important for web design, specifically because a lot of web design does take advantage of hardware acceleration now. Even if the programmer doesn't realize it. Because the browsers themselves that are accelerating everything. But yeah, hardware acceleration has to be done right, because these cards, they're just the graphics cards that are doing the hardware acceleration, they're able to accelerate the way they do because they're doing things in a certain way. So if you're trying to do things that it wasn't optimized to do, then it's just going to slow things down. Oh yeah, the 500 frame rate thing, 500 FPS thing from when I was doing the that tile mapping thing, learning hardware acceleration. I should point out that was on my older system. With my current system, after I got the video menu working for my current project, I decided to unlock the vertical retrace just to see how high of a frame rate I would get, despite the fact that I had like all this I mean, it doesn't look like there was a lot of graphics on that screen, but there had to be at least like several dozen elements for making up the buttons and everything. So I was making quite a number of drawing calls. And I was getting a frame rate of about 2,400. So I think I've got the optimization part figured out. Seriously, 2,400. That's a lot of frames per second. The average monitor can't show more than 60. It's physically incapable of it.
Large enemy approaching.
Actually, funny thing about loading textures is that textures actually load pretty darn fast. it's actually making the texture active where the bottleneck is. And I can't actually buy anything here, so I'm guessing I'm on like a secret level or bonus level. Oh, no way, that's right. The fourth episode in this game, if you actually read through the story details, is basically this planet is like self-destructing and now you gotta escape. No. I wouldn't say it's easy to accidentally max out performance. It's just if you know what you're doing, then you just do it. And if your performance seems wrong for some reason, that's when you go about and you do your extra work to get it right. Yeah, I'm running out of stuff to talk about. It happens. Ow. Shield's down. See, I wasn't even paying attention to the shield gauge, and I heard that, and I sort of felt it in the way I was moving my ship around. So I clued in, and I realized I took hull damage, I need to be careful. That doesn't happen in Jets and Guns. In Jets and Guns, you just keep moving around, you wouldn't even realize that you were getting your butt handed to you. I don't actually... Talking about NVIDIA optimizing its rendering calls, I don't actually know much about what NVIDIA's up to. All I know is that, given the choice between AMD and NVIDIA stuff, I tend to prefer NVIDIA stuff for one simple reason. It tends to be the most backwards compatible. There's actually been a few games I have now that I've tried to get like my friends to play and such, and any of my friends who have AMD graphics cards can't play these particular games properly. They either don't show up at all, or what's the other thing? Or the graphics, like they show up like pure white or... Oh no, wait, oh man. I just remembered that mini game I was talking about at the end of episode 3. It's actually at the end of episode 4 that the mini game happens. Because right now I can actually go to the prototype stalker if I want to. And if you decide to go to the prototype stalker, when you get to the end of the game, you'll get a completely different mini game. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else, because you're basically escaping from the planet. So it's weird that there's even a prototype ship you can board. And look, we got more special effects going. Now we've got a motion blur effect, of all things. This is the kind of stuff people use pixel shaders for. And yes, the enemies are firing collectible gems at me. This game just keeps getting weirder, folks. See? I collected that gem perfectly fine. They're firing gems at me for me to collect. Really, if not for the difficulty being completely unbalanced, this game would be very underrated. As it is, though, with the unbalanced difficulty, it really is more of a game for the hardcore 2D shooter person. Or even not even just the hardcore, just anybody who likes 2D shooters in general. But I would not recommend this game to somebody who doesn't like 2D shooters. And we got the secret level. I'm reading the chat now. Funnily enough, though, I have no problem with AMD's CPUs. In fact, I've been using nothing but AMD CPUs for quite some time now. First AMD CPU was an Athlon running at 1 gigahertz. And that was 3 CPUs ago. So I'm on my 4th one now. And I never really had any serious issues with them. Oh, now here we go. We actually have a couple new weapons here. Sonic Impulse is basically a front weapon version of the Sonic Wave that you would get as the rear weapon, which is... It's not bad, but it's not as powerful as the Zyka laser, so I'm not going to use it. And the Retro Ball, again, it's not a bad weapon. It has some spread to it, does decent damage, but again, it's not as powerful as the Zyka laser. And I got the Wild Ball back there. Yeah. Nope, sticking with the Wobblies. And the reason why the flare keeps going off every time I start a level is because I have to push the fire button to start firing my weapons. And the special weapons are linked to the fire button. So the moment I start firing my weapons, the special weapon goes off. Go figure. Only to bet the video compression right now is loving how fast this is moving. Going at 400 kilobits. Also, the music in the background right now is one of my favorite tunes in the game. And now dark. Oh. But here's something interesting. I just got a laser weapon, but I'm still firing the Zyka laser. Something that happens in the 4th episode and the 5th episode is you can actually get special weapons just dropped out of nowhere. This weapon's given to you by default in this level. So if you don't have something you'd rather have, you can pick it up and now you got a brand new shiny laser weapon that adds on to whatever you've got already. Kind of neat. There's actually yet another one coming, but I always debate whether to pick it up or not because it makes seeing what's ahead of you really difficult. But I'll probably pick it up anyways, just, you know, for sake of showing it and everything. And yeah, there's something in the background there that's shooting lasers up at me. Yay, I can see things again. Oh wait, no I can't. Oh, and we just got the more powerful version there. Oh, a lot of stuff happened there in like 3 seconds. Nothing to get going on. Okay, I actually really hate this level. You'll see why as we get further in. Oh no, wait, here we go already. They're mines that explode after you shoot them. But they don't explode instantly, they actually have a delay. And actually, it's only one reason why I hate this level, there's another reason. But actually, having weapons like this that do explode like that when you shoot them is actually kind of clever. There's not a lot of games that do stuff like that. Yeah, it's almost been 3 hours. Once this 4th episode is done, I'm calling it. Because really, the 5th episode is just a throwaway. It's not that good. The graphics are... blech. Even the game's creator knows that the 5th episode is just a throwaway. But, what are you gonna do? Things happen. And yes, I now have bosses flying at me, like normal enemies. You can destroy them, but it takes so much firepower. You'd have to have, like, mega missiles armed and then use all of them. I mean, I'm getting close on a couple of these, but... no. Actually, another reason why I don't like this level is because it's long. Oh, I just missed a rear weapon power. Yeah, this is a very long level. Which is another part of the reason why I don't like it, is because once you get up to the parts that are really tricky, which are far into the level, if you die on them, you gotta go through the whole beginning sequence again. We got up to the annoying part yet. We have the turrets. It's not so bad at first, but it can get pretty ridiculous if you're not careful. You just gotta destroy these turrets the moment they're on screen, because they will overwhelm you if you're not careful.
Large enemy approaching.
And now we have a proper boss. Sort of. Except the level's not over yet! Oh, I hate this level. Actually, one thing you can kind of take advantage of in this... Okay, there it goes. One thing you can kind of take advantage of in this level is that a lot of the turrets, if they're very close to the edge of the screen, they won't fire if you scroll them off the edge of the screen. But you gotta scroll them, like, all the way off, so... Oh. We're getting there. No checkpoints in this game. Checkpoints weren't invented yet. Well, actually they were, just not on the PC side of things. Oh yeah, one thing I never actually properly elaborated on with the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance versions of Tyrian is that they're completely different games. I think both versions start at a completely different point in the story than the main game does. And they're not ports by any means. The graphics are entirely different, the sound effects are entirely different, even the music is entirely different. At least in the Game Boy Color version. Because the Game Boy Advance version doesn't have sound or music, because it didn't get that far in development. The one thing that's really interesting about the Game Boy Color version is that it has you build up this sort of stock of bananas as you play through the game. And it's a permanent stock that's kept between all playthroughs, all saves, and everything. And the idea is you can purchase these sorts of features with your bananas that are permanently unlocked for whatever you want to do. And they're like more game modes, but also adjustments to the stats. So you can actually sort of alter the stats significantly using these purchases. It's very odd. I don't want to say odd because it's kind of an interesting approach to making the game. It's something I thought about doing in one of my own games at some point, but I don't know. It's an interesting thing, and it keeps. Oh, okay, pay attention. It kind of keeps the game more interesting after you're done playing through it, because it's like, what if I played through it using this special ability, or what if I played through it in this particular game mode? So, yeah. Odd but interesting, put it that way. Oh yeah, we're almost at the end of the episode 4. Hooray! This boss is actually really well done. Has multiple modes to it, so to speak. So first you destroy that middle core. Then you destroy the tongue, so to speak. Which he didn't like. Now he's going to fire lasers again. So you can see that scrolling thing with the shots just by me waving back and forth like that with the lasers. And now he tries to ram me, and fails because he sucks. And now I blow him up. Yay! And I think we've only got one level left. I think. No, actually, I think we have 2 levels left.
Good luck.
Or maybe 3. Oh no. Oh. Yeah, Underdelly. That's what it's... All the levels have very generic names because there's... It's... At first glance, they look like file names because of how small they are, but there's actually a 10-character limit, I believe. So... I don't know why they're named the way they are. They just are. Well, I hope the stream quality's been good this whole time, because I've only been taking minor glances at the stream as it's going, just to make sure, you know, it's still going. But... Oh, it seems to be, like, okay-ish. I mean, at 400 kilobits per second, you can't expect the best. You can't expect the best encoding quality, but... 400 kilobits a second for the video. audio I have set to 96 kilobits per second. Yeah, I'm actually thinking of doing something more modern for my next live stream, rather than a DOS game. Because there's some modern titles that I do play that are actually pretty enjoyable and might make for some good live streams. Oh, so thought. I mean, I could show some Pinball Arcade stuff. I could show some Rogue Legacy. There's actually a new sequel to Defense Grid. Defense Grid 2 came out recently, like a couple or 3 days ago. So, or no, it was more like 4 days ago. So there's always that. What else? Oh no, I have more levels left than I thought I did. Oh well. Well, we're in the home stretch anyways. I actually haven't played FTL yet. Part of the reason I haven't is because it's primarily a strategy game, and I'm terrible at strategy games, and I'm also told it's really difficult. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, FTL looks cool, but I think the gameplay would probably infuriate me. Just like XCOM. XCOM, I think, looks really cool for when it came out, but I cannot play that game worth anything. And it's even stuck on the easiest skill setting without patches or stuff, so... yeah. It's weird. The only strategy games I've ever been good at have all been Bullfrog games. Populous, Dungeon Keeper. For some reason, I'm just good at those games. I don't know why. I actually did want to get to Dungeon Keeper for Season 3, but other stuff came up. So it'll probably be, Dungeon Keeper will probably be an early Season 4 game. It's not going to be the first one. I already got the first game for Season 4 picked out. And I actually still have some gifted games to cover, so I'll probably get to one of those for the second episode of Season 4. Well, we'll see how that goes. Okay, second last level, guaranteed, because it's nothing but a boss fight. And it's another one of these modular boss fights. In fact, both of these last levels are modular boss fights, so they're actually really fun. Basically, we're just picking apart this ship piece by piece. And because I have this special weapon, I can actually hit that thing while it's back there. And look! Guess what it was? The same thing we destroyed at the end of that one level.
Completed.
Okay, that wasn't supposed to happen that way. The lightning's supposed to come from all of those things, not just the one. Oh. What a way to end it. Oh wait, I'm not done yet. Who in their right mind would go to the widget beam at this point? Oh. New rear weapon. Guided microbombs. I'm actually going to show you guys this thing, because it's kind of crazy. And just to make it even more absurd, I'm going to load up the 8-way microbombs. Take a look at the weapon view at the side right now. This is going to get nuts.
Good luck.
Yeah, lots of shots flying around. And I thought that last level was the second last level, but it's not. It's not. I constantly forget how many levels this episode has, just because most of the levels in this episode, as you might have seen, are actually pretty short, save for a couple, so it's easy to forget just how many levels there are in this episode. Okay, I'll switch back to more, to less ridiculous weaponry if I survive. Okay, I'll switch back now. Because, yeah, that was kind of a mess. I apologize. Back to the wobblies.
Good luck.
Actually, it probably doesn't help with this level that there's actually a lot of translucency going on. So, yeah. Actually, the guided microbombs, unlike the regular heavy bombs, which are just slow firing and painful to work with, the guided microbombs fire in such large quantities and move so fast that they're actually useful. But yeah, as you guys pointed out, the video compression kind of gave up, to put it mildly. That's actually literally what happens when the video compression looks like that. It's literally giving up because it needs to get the frame ready. Oh wow, those things are doing a lot of damage. Okay, I think I got him. Oh yes, flying lips and eyeballs. It's almost like we just went from Tyrian to the Guardian Legend. Guardian Legend is my favorite 2D shooter. It's an NES game made by Compile, published by Bruderbund. It's euphemistically called Eyeballs the Game, because as you get further into the Guardian Legend, more and more of the enemies become eyes. To the point where you're literally fighting like eye-based bosses and that shoot eyes at you. But it's a fun game all the same, because it's a combination 2D shooter and adventure game, of all things. So, I approve. Any of you who have an NES, and by any of you I mean everyone watching this after the two of you who still are live, Guardian Legend's a fun 2D shooter, for sure. And it's not that rare, and it's not that expensive either, despite its age, so, you know. I actually, now that I think, we're reversed again. Actually, now that I think about it, I actually showed a tiny bit of the Guardian Legend in one of my fillers. The one about the NES stuff.
Level complete.
Also, Guardian Legend is another long 2D shooter, just like this one is. Man, we're past the 3-hour point now. Well, that's roughly how long it takes to beat Tyrian in one go, is 3 hours. So, I know we're almost done now.
Good luck.
Okay, this better be the second last level, because I know it's not the last. I'm hungry. My butt hurts from sitting for 3 hours straight. Oh. By the way, I'm not complaining. I mean, I said I would cover this game, so here I am. I'm covering it. I might as well get it all over with. Except for episode 5, because why? Yeah, something like that. The anatomy of a level. Or something. I don't know. If you couldn't tell yet, this game is kinda weird. But you know, that's part of the reason why it's as fun as it is because it's different.
Large enemy focus.
So much shooting. Seriously, this game is an endurance. Typical 2D shooter length is a half hour. This is a lot longer than a half hour. I'm really glad I didn't decide to play on a higher skill level, otherwise we'd probably be here even longer.
Large enemy focus.
And now the level's been iced over. Because why not? And we got motion blur again. And this annoying thing. And it's invulnerable. Perfect. I suppose I should probably mention that not just the game got this treatment. The setup program also has secret functions to it. There's actually a secret detail level setting called Wild that actually, you know, that wavy background effect that is sometimes showed up? You can actually set it to wild difficulty, and the entire game will have that wavy background. Playing the entire game from episode 1 to 5 on Lord of the Game difficulty is not going to be insanity. It is going to be a nightmare. I actually had a wittier joke, but I forgot it at the last second. Oh, look, there's the brain. Brains. Warm brains. Sorry. That's what happens when you still have quotes in your head from blood. Seriously, would someone explain that to me? Why do the zombies go to the trouble of saying warm brains in that game? I don't get that. Ouch. Let's not lose the level right now. Okay, this is the second last level. Positive this time. Actually, Lord of the Game difficulty it's not for people who practice tons, it's for people who know how to pull the twiddles off. Because if you can't pull off the twiddles, you're not beating Lord of the Game difficulty. The end. Not. Told you. Oh, no, you didn't believe me. Thought it was the end of the game. I mean, seriously, if a game this crazy just says the end, would you really, honestly believe it? Really? I mean, really? Anywho, we're about to fight a giant nose. With eyes. And a tongue. I'm very zoned out right now. Why do the eyes do that? Get a life bar so I can hurt you. Okay. Almost done. Almost. But yeah, believe it or not, we're not shooting at the nose right now, we're shooting at the thing that's encircling us. And 2,000 points! Not like we don't already have 2 million. And now we can finally destroy the nose. And that's it, game's over. Unless you count episode 5, which I'm not. Oh, right, the mini-game for the prototype ship. Because I was flying that, wasn't I? And the upgrades don't matter because it's just another one of these. Yeah. Just another mini-game. Oh, but you do get one of those, special things you can shoot forwards. Yeah. I'm not playing this. I'm hungry and everything. Oh. So let's just end it by reminding you guys that there is a game like this in here. Seriously. There is a game like this in Tyrian 2000. And yes, you can hurt your own people, so be a little more careful than I am being. Okay. Well, I'm done. Tyrian 2000. 3 hours of really intense but ridiculous 2D shooting action. That's completely unbalanced, but still fun. And colorful. And everything. And now it's in demo mode and telling me to insert a coin. And considering that I used to put coins into our television set when I was a child because I thought maybe it was like an arcade machine, I'm imagining that somewhere, someone out there let their 5 or 6 year old kid play this game and they saw the demo mode and tried to put a coin into like the floppy disk slot or something like that. Okay, well that's it. Stream's over. Bye-bye, everyone.